Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to be making, I'm going to show you guys how to make my summer squash. Okay, let's get started. So first of all, you see me here, I'm just cutting some squash up. We've got, we need the summer squash, the yellow summer squash, peppercorn, olive oil, a little bit of garlic powder, some salt, an onion, lime, some tomato, cilantro. Alright, so we're going to dice this up really good, and I'll be right back and show you what we're gonna put in the pan. So here we are, we've got it chopped up. It doesn't have to be perfect, just dice it a little bit and throw it into that olive oil. Next we're going to chop up a tomato, just chop it up into a few pieces here, and let me show you here. Not perfect, but we'll put it into our pan. Mix all that up in the oil. Next we've got us a half of an onion. We're going to chop some of that. Dice it up however you like. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is your food. You can see mine are perfectly imperfect. I'm going to add that into the pot as well. And you see I didn't even use all of the half of that onion there. Next we're just going to chop up cilantro a little bit. You don't even have to really chop it if you don't want to. You can just pull it into pieces, fry it, because it's going to kind of fry down when you're cooking it. And we're just going to add that into the pot too. We're just going to throw all this in there. Give it a good mix. With the oil, of course. Almost forgot that part. And then once you get that all mixed in and started frying it, add a little bit of salt. Now I can see the flavor, so I'll put a little bit in there. A little bit of garlic salt, garlic powder, whatever it's called. And then we're going to add in some peppercorn, some ground pepper here. A little bit of lime, about half a lime. You roll your lime so your juice better. You just get all the juices out of it. Try to get the lime to feel. It's really good to go. And then I let it cook for a while, and then I add in like a third of a cup of water. Because we want that to simmer down, we want that squash to get good and soft. Sometimes I add in zucchini, but here I actually only did the yellow summer squash with the tomatoes and onions. And we're going to let that simmer for about 5 minutes in that water. I'm going to add in another tomato here because I felt like it didn't have enough. That's what we're doing here. Don't get started with a little bit more tomatoes. So yeah, we're biting. Mix that in and just let it simmer again. And we're biting up again. And then I forgot to add this in the bay leaves. Or you could do like an Italian seasoning. That'd be good too. It's just crushed bay leaves there. Basil leaves. It smells so good when you mix it all together.
See it?
And 5 minutes later, I added in another third of a cup of water. And here you see me talking with Sonny trying to show me something. And you mix that in. And you put it on a stick. Cooking good on that. And it smells good as amazing. Another 5 minutes here. Okay. So I had that about 5 or 6 minutes simmering really good. And then I'm going to add a little bit more of those squash roots. You can start softening up very easily. It's gonna look good. And trust me, it's gonna smell so good. We're turning the heat on high. Not too slow. About medium heat. I'll wait another 5 minutes and it's simmering down so I'm gonna have another third cup of water. We're gonna have to do this a few times because this squash is not really as soft as I like. And it does smell good, seriously. And like aromatic from all the seasonings that you add to it. I do. I think it smells good. Another 5 minutes here. While we're doing that, I'm just gonna work on a side dish to go with this. So I had some pinto beans that I made in a crock pot. I put my pot on the stove with a little bit of olive oil and let that start getting hot. Probably like 2 tablespoons maybe. Got my pinto beans out of the crock pot, put them in there. And I'm thinking it's about 2 cups of pinto beans that I made in the crock pot the night before. And we're just going to fry them a little bit into the olive oil. And we're going to add in a little bit of garlic powder. This is just a side dish to go with what I'm making tonight. I added in a little bit of salt, of course, because I like my food to be well seasoned. And then, I didn't put a lot because when I cooked them I added some in. So I just put enough for good taste. And let that kind of simmer in the oil. I'm coming back, I've turned down the squash to like 3 now. And it's still simmering really well, but for some reason that squash was not getting soft, so I added in another third of a cup of water and made sure it wasn't sticking. I just kept it simmering like that. And then make sure to put the lid back on to keep that moisture in there another 5 minutes or so. Now the beans have started to like kind of simmer and boil in that oil, and that's what we want. So they're already cooked, but we're doing refried beans to go with the squash. So I got it on almost on high. Turn it down to medium heat and get them simmering really well. Another 5 minutes or so, and then we're gonna go back and check on our squash. And then put that in the simmer down. It's looking really good. I think sometimes the smell of this stuff is in the water. We add in another third cup of water. We just keep letting them simmer until it gets good and soft. Like I like mine to just almost melt in my mouth. So I've got this. I need to clean my stove good. Now that those beans are simmering really well, like that, we're going to go ahead and turn off that heat. And we're going to start smashing them. Now, if you don't have an actual smasher, you can use a flat cup. You can even wash the can and use it if you're making them out of can. I'm just using like a potato smasher or bean smasher here. Smashing these things up really good. And I like to add this Mexican style cojita cheese. Kind of like Parmesan, but it's good. And it tastes really good in beans like that. And it makes them look a little bit more extra. So we're putting another third cup of water into the squash. I'm telling you, the squash was hard to get to the consistency I like. Now, if you don't want your squash to be really mushy and like melt in your mouth, you could stop here. And it's completely done and edible, but I really like it to like be very, very soft. So I'm just going to keep turning the heat down, simmering it for as long as I can until I get it to the consistency that I like it. The whole house is going to smell like this. That area is just so good. Okay, so I guess I finally decided it was soft enough for me. So I turned the heat off and just let it set for a few minutes. I come back and that's what it's looking like. So good. Nice and soft. And so good smelling, guys. Okay, so on to the next thing, guys. We're going to make us a little bit of stir fry here to go with all of this. I just got a little stir fry pack from Walmart. I got an onion and I got some garlic, butter, lime, some salt. All right, let's get started. So I just take the stir fry. It's already chopped into strips, but I cut those strips into like thirds or fourths, and just put them into the frying pan with some oil, and we separate them real good. It's a pretty good. It's a pretty good dinner. Another olive oil. I prefer olive oil over vegetable oil. I think it's healthier for you, and I like the way it cooks. And so I add I don't know, maybe a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons of this garlic butter to the olive oil and let it like melt in. I fry all that together, and once I get it melted down a little bit here, set it on the heat for a while. It'll melt down really good. It won't take long. So we're gonna go ahead and season the stir fry steak that I have. Just adding some salt. And I mean, you could do this in the pan, whatever, no big deal. A little bit, I was just waiting on the butter to melt, so I did it. A little bit of lime juice, the other half of that lime that we cut earlier. It's so good with that on it, seriously. And then some more of that garlic salt. Like, I'm using kind of the same seasonings for everything. It kind of makes everything cohesive. You don't have to do that, but it's good like that. Alright, so my butter's melted down with the garlic salt, the garlic butter, and the olive oil. So I'm going to throw in my seasoned steak. And kind of shake it up. Make sure those pieces are separated so it fries evenly on either side. So you want it to be. And then, so we wash our hands, and now we're going to chop up wash our hands on our cutting board and knife. And we're going to dry it off. I'm chopping up my onion. I'm trying to do that snap thing. I'm not good at it. So I'm not great at editing. It's fine. So we got our steak getting brown. And so I'm going to kind of mix it around in that butter, olive oil mixture. And I'm adding the onion now. You can put as much or as less, but you don't even have to add the onions if you want onions in. Like I said, I like to use the same kind of seasoning. It makes everything cohesive. But everything has its own flavor at the same time. We'll let that set for 5 minutes and simmer real good. Alright, I'm going to go back in with some of this big pulled chicken. Yes, it says chicken, but I'm telling you, for steak it's good. Trust me, you just gotta try it. My favorite one is this one by Kinder. It's Chef's Kiss. Alright, mix that in really good. And it'll looking good there. It smells so good, guys. 5 more minutes here. Lid covered. Almost forgot that. And then after it's been 5 minutes, we'll turn it out. We're going to look forward. Looking good. Make sure it's not sticking. It's simmering really well. It's starting to brown. Onions, that smell with those onions, it smells amazing. So we just let it simmer for 5 more minutes or so. Come back, it's starting to look really good and crispy now. I like my steak to have a little bit of crisp in it. So I like to simmer it down until it's a little bit brown like that. Let me show you guys. I'm turning this down now, so we can get that like buttery, crispy. And if those onions can marinate in that, and garlic, butter, or an oil. Alright, it's been about 5 minutes and stir it up and starting to get that consistency that I like to. You can see how it's getting brown around the edges, so that's how I like them. I'll turn it off, we're done. Put our lid on it and just let it set and stay warm. Now we're going to make us some tortillas. This is the brand that I like. I get it at Walmart. I'm just going to take on, I have a little comal griddle. It's a griddle, but they call it a comal in Spanish. I set it on high, flip the tortillas twice. 2 or 3 minutes, you got good hot tortillas. There you go. And this brand, the Provincia, that's my favorite brand for them. And here's the finished product. That's some leftover rice I had from yesterday. And then this is my peach cobbler that I made earlier. And it's really, really good. Fresh hot tortillas. You see the steam coming off. We had to taste it, of course, and it is delicious, guys.